Hello everyone! So today I'm going to be sharing with you some of our favorite family freezer meals and some of my tips and tricks on how to save money and also be prepared and have your freezer stocked at all times. So we are more of a chicken and turkey family. We don't eat a lot of red meats. What are your favorite meats and what are your favorite meals to go to? I'd love to hear about them. But I will be sharing with you some stuffed peppers and some some turkey meatballs today. So typically how I make freezer meals is I purchase some of my ingredients when they're on sale, and that kind of inspires me to make dinner for the evening. Once I make that dinner, I will often make a few batches, prepare them into little containers, and then pop them into the freezer. So this kind of starts up the beginning of my meal, and then it slowly starts to accumulate because you're not going to be using the same freezer meal all the time. So when you make dinner another night and you make a bunch of those, you pop it into the deep freezer, and now you're starting to build up a rotation of meals. That's what works for me. I like cooking, but I don't love spending a lot of time in the kitchen. So when I do this, I definitely make a big amount and then pop it in the freezer. I make dinner again, I pop it in the freezer, and then once I start a rotation, I love it. Come home after a busy day and in the evening you pop that in the oven, you're good to go. But another little tip and trick I think would be onions and green peppers and red pepper. If you chop those things up, put them in Ziploc bags or even in little containers and put them in the freezer, your life will change. I'm telling you, this has completely changed my life. Onions, I grab a big 10-pound bag of onions. I might spend an hour or two, or even carrots, chopping, grinding. I love my little mini Prep Plus here. It's made by Cuisinart. If you have a food processor, it also makes life easy too, but this one's my actual favorite to go to. I kind of just grind up my stuff. Some of it I like to have very, very small chopped up things. Other times I like a little bit of a thicker chop. I pop them in a little freezer bags or containers, pop them in the freezer, and then when I'm also making another dinner, I take those things out of the freezer and then I make a larger quantity for dinner, and then I pop it in the freezer once I'm done. So that's how I do things around here to make life a little easier. How do you prepare freezer meals? I'd love to hear it. Do you do like a whole bunch of them all at once, or do you kind of do what I'm doing? Also, another little trick is, for example, I'm using ground turkey today to make the stuffed peppers and the turkey meatballs. So if the ground turkey is out and I'm working with that, I'll just split it and make 2 meals, and then that also helps start up the freezer meal process. So this is my favorite time of year to start stocking up the freezer. In the summer you're kind of a little bit busier, you kind of can do salads and stuff, but in the winter time you do kind of crave a little bit more hearty meals. So I'll definitely be sharing more with you. If you look forward to that, please be sure to give me a like, but I do look forward to sharing this one here with you. I hope you enjoy.
I took 1 large onion and I finely ground it up in my Mini Plus Cuisinart. You can definitely do this manually. However, I just find it quick. I cut this up into little chunks, put it in the little machine, and press the button a few times until I find the right consistency that I need. Then I just move that over to the stovetop. I used 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in the pot and also in the pan. One will be for the meatballs, the other for just browning the meat. You can use olive oil, avocado oil, canola oil, any oil that you prefer. So I used half the mixture of onion goes into the one pan and the other into the pot. I put it on a very low heat at this point and gave a little bit of a stir and added some salt for seasoning. And I'm going to carefully watch this. In the meantime, I boiled 1 cup of rice. So when you're making your stuffed peppers, you can use a different type of rice, whatever is your favorite. We like the wild rice. So you use 1 part of rice to 2.5 parts of water. While that's cooking on the stove, I started preparing the green peppers and the red peppers. So I gave them a thorough wash. And they're ready to be cut. So you just cut the top part of the pepper, and then you want to slice out the inside, making sure that all the little pieces, like kind of the fleshy part that comes out, so you're not getting those pieces when the pepper is done cooking. So I did this to 12 peppers.
Okay, so while the onion is sauteing, I then chop up all my peppers. So that's what you saw me doing here, and I've got them all in order. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the pans that I like using to bake them in the oven. So I pre-cook everything. This is what happens. I cook everything at once, goes all in the oven, and then I separate it into the little containers so that I can put them in the deep freezer. More flavorful, I find the food comes out tastier and moist and all that stuff. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the pans I like to use. So I like to use my either deep dish aluminum pan, or I love using Pyrex or glass pans. And the practical thing about these are nowadays they come with little covers, so you can just pop them right into the oven after you're done. They have big dishes like 9 by 9, and then they have the smaller ones that are 8 by 8 or 9 by 12, 8 by 8. I purchased these at the Dollar Tree to give them a try. I just didn't want to attempt baking my food and then it not working out for keeping moisture and flavor. Because when all the peppers, there's about 6 per tin, so 6 go in here and 6 go in the other. All the juices and everything are sitting inside of this pan in the oven with the aluminum foil, so I find that the flavors are all there, and then I'm able to just scoop per little container and then deep freeze them. That way, as when you need them, you pull them out one by one, right? So these are from the Dollar Tree, and they come with 3 2¼ pound pans. I'm gonna transfer 2 peppers into each of these. Now these will shrink a bit, so they should fit. If not, then they'll kind of go on their side. But the peppers will shrink and they'll kind of shrivel up a bit. So I'm seeing that they will work here. When I reheat them in the oven, I'll probably plop, they're quite thin, and I'm afraid when you're pulling it out, everything will kind of collapse on you. You could just put it on a flat tray, cookie sheet, or you can put it in something like this again and put it in the oven. So anyways, that was just something that I was thinking about because these are new to me, storing things in the glass containers or in my aluminum pans already that I have here at home, and I just rewash them and reuse them, so they're not disposable. I'm also helping the environment a little bit, but these are pretty practical and I can't wait to try them. So we'll continue here.
So while the onion and the rice is still cooking, I'm going to prepare my pans. I drizzled some olive oil on the bottom and layer a nice even coat of my favorite marinara sauce from Costco. It's the white linen brand. You can add a little bit of water as well if you find that your pan might dry out, so that's an option. And I just layered my peppers and positioned them ready to be filled. Moving on to the turkey meatballs, you're going to use 2 pounds of ground turkey. You're going to use 1 egg, about 3/4 cups of breadcrumbs, and my favorite is Italian seasoning for this, and adding a little bit of salt as well. So you just mix it all up nicely until you have the right consistency. About 1.5 tablespoons of the meat, and I just roll it up nice and tight. Well, not super tight, but nice and loose in my hands. So this should yield about 40 meatballs for you. At this point, check in again on your sauteed onion. Make sure it's nice golden brown. My rice is almost finished cooking at this point, so it's about 20-25 minutes it's been cooking. I just simply put the meatballs right into the pot and dump my favorite sauce on top, which is again the white linen from Costco. And a little tip here is when you have a little bit of sauce left in your jar, just add a little bit of water, shake it around, swirl it, and just pour it right back into your dish. I add a little bit of salt for seasoning and some basil leaves, and I now don't even touch my meatballs. Don't stir them, don't do anything, just let them do their thing. Also, a little tip is if you're using a pan cover, definitely use a pan cover. You don't want all the moisture and the juices and flavor escaping from your dish. Use a little piece of paper and just to give it a little room for breathing space on your pot. At this point for the ground turkey, you do the same. You put mix the turkey up with your onion and then pour your favorite sauce on top. Let it do its thing for a little bit, continuously stirring that one because you want the ground meat for your stuffed peppers not to be lumpy. You definitely want a nice loose consistency. At this point, I took 3 or 4 of my favorite cheeses, Parmigiano, some Havarti with a little bit of spice, and mozzarella cheese. I mixed them all together, and this will be my topping for the ground peppers, for the stuffed peppers. You turn on your oven at about 360 degrees. Check in again on your sauces. I added a little bit of cayenne pepper just for some heat. My meatballs are coming along, and now at this point, you can give them a little stir because they're nice and formed. They're not going to be falling apart on you. I like to cook my meatballs for about an hour on very low heat. They keep them very tender and juicy. So at this point, you want to take your rice and your meat sauce and mix it all together. I was overflowing in my pan, so I had to improvising over here, but this is what you do. You mix your rice and your meat sauce, and then you just simply stuff each of your peppers, leaving a little bit of space on the top. Obviously, the peppers will shrink, so you don't want to overflow your peppers, and you also want to still have room for a little bit of cheese. Going to cover your pans with aluminum foil and make sure that they're completely sealed all around. So at this point I plop them in the oven, and it does take me about an hour and a half to get them to the right consistency that I like. I love the peppers with a nice soft texture. If you like them a little harder, don't cook them for so long, but definitely take a peek on them at 30-minute mark just to make sure that they're not burning, and add some water if you have to, or some sauces, and you should be good to go. So at this point I'm putting them into the little containers to be prepared for the deep freezer, and I scoop some of the sauces and the meat sauce that's in the bottom of the pan, and I put them right into the little containers that are going to be stored for future reheating. Please be sure to have all your meals completely cooled off. You don't want to be putting hot meals into your freezer. It could actually thaw out other foods that are near it, or also even ruin your freezer and the food. So I put a nice layer of clear saran wrap on top, and then I layered it with aluminum foil. When you're reheating, please remove the plastic, otherwise you're going to have a mess. I just love dating and labeling my stuff. That way when it's in the freezer, I have little spaces for them. I know exactly what I'm grabbing at all times. For my meatballs, I used airtight containers, so I put the right amount that I thought would be perfect for a lunch or a dinner into the little container. Now, the easy thing about this is they can be put into the microwave. You can thaw them out on the stovetop again in a little pot, or you can put them in the oven. I hope you loved this process with me today of cooking in the kitchen, and I look forward to sharing more with you very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.